everybody. Welcome to the March reading series presented by the Sundress Academy for the Arts. My name is Stacy Estep. I'm the reading series coordinator. And for anybody who doesn't know, Sundress Academy for the Arts, or SAFTA, is a writer's residency and arts collective that hosts workshops, retreats, and residencies for writers in all genres, including poetry, fiction, nonfiction, journalism, academic writing, playwriting, and more. And you can find out more at Sundress academyforthearts.com. We would like to thank the Tennessee Arts Commission for a grant, which has made it possible for us to pay tonight's readers. And now I'd like to introduce our Community Outreach Director, Arlen Dunn, who will tell us about this month's community partner. Arlen? Arlen, are you there? Oh, okay. No audio. Okay, well, I can just read from the script and we'll introduce our representative from our partner. Our March community partner, the Trans Empowerment Project, or TE.
Stacy, you're muted. Hi, all. I don't know.
Arlen, are you there? We can hear you now.
Someone give me a wave if you can hear.
Kind of. Okay, let me try this again. Can you all hear me?
Can anyone hear me?
I can hear you now, Arlen.
I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Connection's been bad, and for some reason, I've had some audio issues. So I'm Arlen. I'm the Community Outreach Director. Thank you for your patience. I'm so glad you all could come to the reading this month. So every month we partner with another nonprofit in the area and raise awareness about what they're doing in our community. We also invite you to donate to their work, and we're very excited to have with us Heather from the Trans Empowerment Project. In the next couple minutes, they'll be sharing information about the Trans Empowerment Project and the work that they've been doing. Let's see. Sorry, I'm just pulling up my pages. Heather, if you'd like to unmute yourself, you can go ahead and share some information about the Trans Empowerment Project, and I'll put some links into the chat.
Awesome. Hello, everyone. I am a lot more anxious about this than I thought I would be, so please forgive me if my voice shakes a little bit. But my name is Heather Knoxville, and I'm the Director of Digital Fundraising and Supporter Engagement for Trans Empowerment Project, a national grassroots organization based here in Knoxville. We were founded in 2016 by an Afro-Latinx trans man who, while beginning his own gender transition, realized how scarce resources are for trans folks here in East Tennessee. Our very first outreach was to host a clothing swap to provide season-appropriate, gender-affirming clothing to trans and non-binary folks in Knoxville. That event was a really big success, and we provided clothing to over 100 people that day. Pre-COVID, we had started to hold clothing swaps twice a year in March and November, because that coincides with Trans Day Visibility in March and Trans Week of Awareness in November. And it's also like when the seasons change, so it's great to have that as a resource. Since then, we've continued to expand our service areas, programs, and available resources. We now have a national outreach and can provide folks in the trans community with resources to move them out of crisis and into empowerment. In a little over 4 years, we've managed to provide assistance to over 1,200 folks across the gender spectrum. Our programs include in transitions, which can provide direct aid such as food, clothing, rent assistance, HRT assistance, and more. Our clothing swaps are on hold because of COVID, but we hope to have them back up and running later this year. And for now, we are mailing out clothing packages to folks who need them. We can send food packages through Instacart. We have a partnership with GC2B that allows us to provide brand new binders free of charge to clients. Our trans employment program can pair job seekers with affirming inclusive employers. Our inmate advocacy program works to ensure that incarcerated trans folks have access to our resources. We can send commissary funds so that they can buy gender affirming toiletries. Again, we can use our partnership with GC2B to send chest binders. We can help with clothing and employment upon release. Our partnership with We the Action allows us to provide legal assistance to incarcerated folks free of charge. One thing we've seen is an overwhelming request for like friendship and emotional support from the clients who reach out. So we are actually launching a pen pal program next week to help facilitate that. And our HALO program provides support and education to cisgender folks who are looking to become better allies for their trans loved ones. We have a Facebook group for that regularly posts FAQs, articles, and other education, as well as facilitates conversations with its members. So yeah, that's a little bit about us and the programs and services that we could provide. Yeah, so you can follow us on all social media. We have a website, transempowerment.org. And yeah, if you have any questions, like feel free to reach out and we'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you so much, Heather, for sharing. Again, the ways you can donate are in the chat. Heather, if you have any other links, feel free to add those. But thank you so much for coming and joining and giving us more information about the Trans Empowerment Project.
All right, thank you, Heather and Arlen. Now I'd like to introduce our first reader. A.J. Odasso's poetry, nonfiction, and short stories have appeared in magazines and anthologies since 2005. Their first full-length manuscript, Things Being What They Are, an earlier version of The Sting of It, was shortlisted for the 2017 Sexton Prize. The Sting of It was published by Tolsun Books and won Best LGBT Book in the 2019 New Mexico Arizona Book Awards. Earlier chapbooks, Lost Books, and The Dishonesty of Dreams were published in 2010 and 2014 by UK imprint Flipped Eye. AJ holds an MFA in creative writing from Boston University, currently a Ph.D. candidate in rhetoric and writing at the University of New Mexico. They teach at UNM and Central New Mexico Community College. They have served in the poetry department at Strange Horizons since 2012. You can keep up with AJ's writing on Twitter at AJ Odasso. Please welcome AJ.
Thank you so much. Stacy and everyone here who is associated with Sundress. Thank you, Heather and TEP, for all the work you do to support the trans community, my community. I am not from your state, but I appreciate it. I'm coming to you from sunny Albuquerque. So I am going to be reading selections from this book just so you can get a look at what the cover looks like. And let's get started. So I'm going to start with what's the opening poem of the book. This is called Push. They say it works perfectly. This slab made of stone that may be the only thing between us and the darkness, deftly Lift your hand and sign grief, brush the sand from your eyes, and know that eternity is a pivot swing and a single step forward if you would but place your palms against the blackness and pray for amends to be made. You, standing there living and breathing, know that this threshold sends us to where the horses are running and dragging us. We are here waiting for death, for an answer, for the door. All right, so this next piece was published in Battersea Review. It's called Ivy. One fine morning, it's the ivy that will show you. Your bones have all split at the seams. Arrows are made easily from these. Learn that nobody else has your back. Trust is more often than not for the weak, and love unforgivable. Your stone heart you must split in 4. Poison the quarters with marrow from each shaft. It'll hurt no greater than what wounds you have. Always watch the ivy. Study both cracks and rebinding. Knock swiftly now, aim quick to court the kill. Your tendril-bound breath fills each fissure like ivy. Now, watch. I promised the friend who gave me the prompt that led to this poem that I would read it tonight, although I do not see them here. They may have had tech issues. The prompt they gave me was to write a love poem from the perspective of a mathematician, and that is what I did. This poem is called Orbital. Once, before there was your voice, I wrote lies, just as I am lying to you now. I seek cause-bound effect, action with sound consequence in the trajectory arc of your text. There is none of my truth so deeply entrenched here that you will not find it. The secret is less to solve for these hidden variables than what you must guess. There is how the pyre was prepared for us. There is how the fire made lovers of us. What I want and who you are is one and the same. Now that there is your voice, my lies bend to intersect. Your breath solves for the sound of my name. This piece is for a very dear friend of mine, Sylvia Gasparini. She really pulled me out of a really dark time in my life back in 2012. And so this is for her, Fairy Beekeeper. You teach me patience. Send jars of sunlight that require careful straining. Your children spin gold from acacia and rose, turn blood shades into caring sweetness. You did not know me from either inhabitant of Eden, but still you threw wide your garden gates and said, come, taste. Whence I've come in such condition, my wings in shreds, my hum broken, you took the time to ask. Now I take my tea with a fine skim of wax. The Book of Drowned Things. The man in the wine shop gives me half a glass of sweet French red, tells me it's been popular at weddings. He blithely calls it port, but I can't help but think it's Madeira in a stained pink dress. I carry one slim bottle beneath my arm just as far as the spirits section at the back. I confess it's a Sheriff Guiana rum that I'm really after. 15-year aged in an oak cask is the stuff on which my dreams are made and broken. Unless you count the time, 5 vodka shots and several tons of knife-edged heartbreak later, I locked myself in Brian and Jody's loo and shouted at an imaginary dead boy for an hour. It's true that I'm built for heartbreak, and so I raise this toast to friends loved, lost, and about to be lost. Death has always wanted me closer than those she steals from my arms. It's you that I can never hope to save, and so I'll tell this story before I forget. As a child, I drowned off North Carolina. I remember the crush of water all the sun shot. I remember the crush of water in my lungs and the vicious sting of salt all the sun shot way down. I remember the calm that stole over me less than half a minute before I hit the sand and choked up her gifts to me, grief before glory. You're the ferryman now, she said, and, fool that I am, I believed it. Returning song on Reading Derek Jarman's Garden. Speak to me, friend, long dead though you are, tell me of home, there by the sea, of how salt killed the kale but spared the dog rose. Red admirals came to you as they now come to me, winged and fearless, never far from our upturned palms. We suffer a fever, some say, of tragic proportions. Our sin is the folly of Sappho, the grief of Alexander. We are cousin to mischief, you and I, my departed brother. You gift this world with thorny warp and root-ridden weft. The quiet house, my still heart, your books on the table. It is as if I never left. Transition medal. I learned medals early. My uncle, a jeweler, garlanded his mother in gold. My grandmother's rings held diamond, topaz, and garnet. Too costly for words. At 9, she fitted a circlet, silver, set with blood-flecked carbon on my little finger. I grew till I had to thread it through that cheap herringbone chain a hopeful bow gave me. Kiss girls after sundown, and no one will see you wear moonlight, where others insist you don sun. Rigel, for Jane Yolen. I was fresh home from naming quasars the night we first met. Your silk soft paws pressed flush to my palms. Your eyes were mismatched. One, the color of bluets stripped back, the other, new spring grass. My grandfather taught me to hunt. He said, you'd prove a rabbit chaser's friend, but my heart and yours, dear girl, were set on a different prize. Duskwise, we wandered those rocky hillsides in search of blue stars. You trained so swift to the slightest turn of my hand, red warning in the faintest puff of my wondering breath. I'm glad now that I knew you in winter, Wolf's sister. Your first daughter would have run with me, had you not gone. Might have greeted Orion as a seasoned old friend. As I still do, my sweet, and as I dream. As roaming, we always did. I sort of choke up a little when I read that one because I really love the dog that it's about. My family never had a dog that I loved more than Rigel, so let's see. The calm before. Evening primrose, bittersweet. This city's wish is to stand long after we've left it. Drowsy green, we'll swallow our stories and crush them to seeding. Leyline and Trestlebridge alike know our full stops, caesuras, palimpsests, before we've but breathed them. Our smoke in the evening swan wake shimmers, patient as frost. The next harsh winter stands waiting already. Poison ivy reaches, tendrilled warning against restless belief. Yes, you will leave me alone here in undisguised autumn. Your hands, I trust less than this toxin shine, your berry rhyme on my baited lips, so let me be. There's still time. The Devil in Boston, after Leonard Cohen's Satan in Westmount. Here, he becomes she, or neither. Both, all shades between, cannily suit. Satan strolls Charles Street in motorcycle boots, denim and flannel, fresh from a weekend in Maine. Sips pumpkin spice, clove-starved, insatiable. Trades those hummed Spanish lays chased by Dante's tercets for Decemberist lyrics, although the aptly manicured fingernails remain. As for the asphodel, there's a softer lapel in which to put it. My regrets, this sprig says, follow you to the grave. Fireflies gone. My grandmother wrapped me in rouge one cacophonous October, told me my father had worn the same dress. Tomboyish as red, I asked if she wished Dad had been a girl. She said, don't worry what I wished for, my sweet. I went to a Halloween party that night and danced with goblins, ghosts, boys in bed sheets. After, I couldn't find my fleece-lined shoes in the darkness, in the brush. Duck, duck, wolf. I'll just do a couple more. As you've probably noticed, I tend towards shorter poems, but this is one of the longer ones in the book. It's only a couple pages. Prosthetics. We put on dresses Sunday morning. Our private joke. Old friends will want to see us at church. Mom says it's really nice to have us home. I know the nearness now of death, and your brave face feels like a punchline. We sit through sacraments still as saints. After bread and water, after talks that set my Jewish teeth on edge and you to drawing on your arm, we endure handshakes. Glassy smiles reflect what I know better than to suspect. All eyes low, lashes frown. We flee before second hour sends invitations to scripture study our way. We take mom's car, zip to sheets, order hot dogs with chili, onion, and cheese. Some drops right on my chest. You laugh, say there's nothing left to catch it. I think about those pious lowered eyes and puzzled smiles. You say you remember the location of that creepy cabin filled with dozens of fake arms and ancient newsprint. I say I'd like to see it. You drive through the drizzle a little while till the dirt road rises. Gladly, I'd have struck out through trees to hunt this slumber party legend, but we stare through the fog-slick windshield. My twin scars ache. Maybe next time we'll try trespassing, you say. I nod, chewing in silence. We go on, watching for deer in the rain. Magdalena, New Mexico, for my father. This is a real cowboy town, you say, driving us off Alamo Navajo Reservation, scanning sky and sandias through the windshield for miles. The dental clinic's behind us. My jaw shot to hell, all those glass vials, 7 Marcaine and 3 lidocaine down, enough to kill a child. Maybe that's why your mind's set on target practice, somewhere unregulated, like they do out here, you explain, shotgun in the trunk. I barely respond, stuck on signs for motels and RV parks, sand scraped with age. I find a bone in the ruins of Kelly Ghost Town 3 miles out, vertebral, arcane, bullets echo in the unearthly quiet, stillness broken between except for the breeze. I fell in love with this place, you tell me once we're back on the road. I think 11 years on from when you moved, I've fallen too, but the voices I hear in the rasp of yellow sage aren't the same as yours. With each trigger pull, I saw apparitions fraught against all that wild blue. Datura trumpets, stiffly triumphant, faded too soon. Let's see. Ace of Spades. Trillium thrive on the strip-mined hills, sip acid rain like Prosecco. They wait for love, or they make do with sun. Underground coal fires set tepid shoots to yawning. Even roots curled in thawing clay know to wake. Split the shale of my heart for this last white-petaled devotion. Rust streaks each of 3. Pick a card, any. Thanks so much.
Thank you, AJ. Everybody check the chat. We'll have a link of where you can order AJ's most recent collection, The Sting of It. And now I'd like to introduce our next reader. Red Sama Niego writes short fiction about freak love, border worlds, and being a better communist. They were selected as the 2019-2020 Junior Fiction Fellow at Washington University in St. Louis, the 2019 Sandra Cisneros Fellow at Under the Volcano in Tepoztlan, Mexico, a 2018 Hattie Fitz Walker Scholar at the Fine Arts Work Center in Provincetown, Massachusetts, and the 2018-2019 editorial assistant at Dorothy, a publishing project. They're the founder of MFA App Review, a project providing free support to BIPOC and trans writers applying to MFA programs. Please welcome Red.
Hello, thank you. Can somebody give me a thumbs up if you can hear me? Yay. Okay. Great. So I'm just gonna first of all, AJ, that was so awesome. So excited to get to hear you read and to come next. And thanks to all for being here, listening to us. I'm gonna do like a hybrid reading / cooking. And I'm reading just like the first part of a short story about social media fame and like the people that go to the library every day, which I used to be one of them. So I'm just gonna adjust us here so you can see what I'm doing. Let's see. Hold on. Pin myself. All right. There we go. That's very good. All right. I had done something in my private life and a 6-second video of it, 3 seconds looped twice, had made me famous. I was new to being disposable and I wasn't familiar with the terms. They're going to offer you your 15 seconds of fame, cashiers and neighbors told me. Practice what you'll say in your 15 seconds. It only comes around once. I take advice seriously. I determined I should stay home from the library for a day or two to give myself time to think, a benefit of not being employed there. While at home, a TV show called. A dozen TV shows called. I went with the first one because the studio was downtown near where I throw pots. They invited me to come tape the next morning, live on Channel 10. When I arrived, they offered me a platter of jelly donuts, which I was so grateful for. I ate 3 and then put 2 in my pockets, wrapped in white coffee napkins like Gigi would do. She hadn't seen the video, or I feared maybe she had. Clapping started. A red light turned green and I walked into a blinding room like Unreal Room on a stage in a bigger room with a live studio audience. I stopped and stood on the black X taped to the floor like they'd asked. Famous singers do this all the time, I thought, stand on an X like this. They called me this week's video star and had me say my name into the microphone. Ariana Grande, I panicked. I'd forgotten about how routinely I panic. My nerves bit and whooshed and my smile was a big burn on my face. They took the mic away from me and I felt a great relief in how it meant they would say my name for me. And I knew that hearing it, it would remind me what it was and why I was being blinded by white lights, surrounded by waves of laughter, bouncing on an X. But when the host said my name, he said it in the exact way that my grandma Junie used to say it when she pulled me face first into the cave of her absent breast, deflating the D cup that she left empty behind her bra. Tipping into her was like going down an unlit stairwell with a missing step. And in that moment on the X, I felt myself falling. But in reality, I had done one hop forward like a sly bunny at the start of a race. Am I more animal now after what occurred in the video? I wondered. As my eyes adjusted, I saw the legs and feet of some of the people in the audience and was disappointed at how much brown they wore. It was springtime, which I think of as the season of paisley dottings, but they must think of it as clotted mud. Some of them raised and lowered a foot or bounced on a toe. Above their legs, I could only see white light, but I heard rolls of laughter and an electric buzz that I knew to be the mic. Well, Eliana, you've captured hearts with your video, and you've certainly made us laugh. We'd like to give everyone 15 seconds to share a little about the video and say hi to your fans. I looked at him. Okay, great, he laughed into my blinks. Isn't she a treasure? The crowd agreed. He winked, the lights blinded, and finally, I grabbed the mic. I knew to give it a few taps. I held the mic up, looked straight into the black eye, recording my image in a deep zoom, and widened my stance. Start the clock, I thought. I wanted to make a statement full of drama, a manifesto with backing guitars, but I'd always kept life manageable with simple routines, with patience. So I held my mouth open wide and I waited. Behind the whir of lights, the crowd grew quiet. Expel, I thought to myself. Release. Relax. I thought of peeing into a doctor's tiny cup, and then I imagined the moment after a great inhalation of dust. When that didn't work, I thought about hurling up soft serve after the tilt-a-whirl and ejaculating, or was that pee, onto an anonymous beard. I could feel my tongue drying out, could feel squadrons of taste buds marching to the arid tip and diving off. I pictured the crowd, naked, bare feet tapping black linoleum, their bunions and toe rings. The winking man touched my shoulder for the mic, and I shook myself. Thank you, Grandma Junie, I remembered to say, and handed back the mic. I wasn't needed for the rest of the taping, so I went home. I mushed myself some peas and squeezed the jelly out of the donuts for dessert. In the morning, I ate one of the empty donuts and answered the phone. Speaking, I said, still suspicious of my name and the trouble it brought. I was a performance artist the voice had never heard of. The voice had seen my viral video and my performance on Channel 10. They knew I had a hobby of making pots, but I was otherwise a mystery. There was a commission from the museum and the performance could be worked around my schedule. I told them I needed to check my calendar. I left the phone in the kitchen dining room and went into the living room, bedroom, bathroom. I put my finger on the next square that hadn't been struck through, a Tuesday. I pushed my finger up to the top of the page, April. I slid the whole calendar off the nail and closed it, 2015. Strange, I thought. I had been living for 56 years. The paper I always read, the Daily Star, had many articles about how we were in a confusing time, and I understood, finally, what they meant. Television stars, they said, were more important now than ever, turning into political figures. Perhaps 3-second video stars were turning into performance artists. The performance artists, I wondered, with a chill, finally sell their clay pots? I had to find out. It makes sense. You've never heard of me, I said into the receiver. Yes, of course, said the voice. Then, in a whisper, the institution can be self-servingly aloof about emerging artists. But, the voice continued, I, of course, recognize emergence to be a key element of your work. The way your bus stop piece situates our world as a selfie with no self, and then remystifies the act of creation. Your provocation of the hunter-hunted dichotomy in a setting of such pedestrian transience, it's also fraught, so troubling. To me, an egg fell into my mouth. I had been waiting on my bench for the Q64, and I took out my new phone. There were strong winds I wanted to record. I opened my mouth. I don't know why. Maybe because I have already seen what my smile looks like, and a quarter-sized egg fell down my throat from the sky. My coworkers at Old Navy uploaded the video. When I watched it, I learned that the egg was spotted. Your second act, the Channel 10 experience, said the voice, still going, refuted every expectation of the sequel. You expose the fetishizing of explanation for what it is, a starry-eyed fantasy, to close the piece with a conjuring of legacy and heritage by indicting your own grandmother in the search for answers. It was new. What you're doing is absolutely new. The cell phone was new, I thought. Gigi had just given it to me from the Central Branch's Lost and Found. A secret for one of my favorite patrons, she'd said as I left for my closing shift at Old Navy one day. It has a camera so that you can try new mediums if you'd like. We have to toss them out otherwise. I slipped the silver phone inside my sleeve. Thank you, I whispered. Gigi was everyone's favorite. Everyone's favorite librarians, conspiratorial and kind, with a stripe of hair she dyed pink, like how your niece would turn out if you didn't have a realtor sister that preemptively banned you from the bat mitzvah. I considered Gigi to be my closest confidant. But after she'd given me the phone, Gigi began to pass me in the stacks and ask if I'd taken photos or made any videos yet. I couldn't disappoint her, and I couldn't change the days of the week I came in to look at ceramics throughout history. Luckily, I reserved lying as an understandable last resort for dire situations such as this one. The phone was stolen, I told her. Downtown, outside the deli. I cried after I said it. I don't know why. Eliana, the voice was repeating. I looked at the receiver. Speaking, I said. As chief curator, he continued, I would like to extend to you an invitation to perform a short piece. We are very excited about your work and how it may illuminate our new exhibition, which opens Friday. I stayed quiet. I was thinking, we can build the show however you'd like. Telecom wave, bioglitch, an experimental potter. I will come Friday, I said. And I heard a high-pitched exhale like a yip. To open, said the chief curator. The yip made me imagine I was speaking to a dog, a tiny sand-colored one, a black-eyed star of fluff. Okay, I said, also becoming excited. To show it, I barked back before I hung up. The bus ride to my studio that afternoon felt quick. The towers downtown looked shorter and the clouds higher. There was a polite rain. The freight elevator didn't shudder. Up to that point, what people had said about me as an artist was that I was prolific. I had been able to sit at the wheel for long periods of time. Grandma Junie told me I was in need of this or any hobby and had started me young. As a novice, I spent several years of Saturdays outside the library. Right next to my bench got a 264, displaying an array of breathtaking handmade pots of various small sizes for sale. But I was no longer a novice and had learned that the market for selling clay pots was potentially elsewhere. I heard the elevator jerk open down the hall and the building security guard's boots arriving at my studio door. Christ, he said. He appeared struck by my shelves of small and medium-sized work. I let him scan the room for several moments because there were many glazes to take in. Listen, arts and crafts, you got to start moving some of these things out of here. I'm an experimental potter, I told him. Fascinating. This came for you. A courier had come with a note. Please send any materials along with instructions for assembly via the handling company. All of the expenses have been paid. Should you need any other equipment, please let us know. We look forward to witnessing your work live. But was it live? I wondered. I had felt a very strange feeling since I swallowed the egg. How could I know if it was live? The only eggs I had eaten before were dead or unliving. This egg could very well hatch, I thought. I feel life. But then I thought, is it my prisoner? And for how long? When I'm speaking now, am I also speaking for the egg? Look, there's too much going on in here. I don't want to keep telling you this. And don't try to pawn them off on me. Management is really down my neck. Management was his way to say my realtor sister. Grandma Junie had died a year ago, and my realtor sister wanted to develop. I will be moving them, I said. I am on the other line right now buying a mountain range of packing peanuts. Right now. I had never tried selling my pots at a museum, but now as an experimental potter, I had an updated mandate. Previous attempts at pot sales and my observation of Old Navy shoppers pointed to the importance of recommendations from trusted brands and authorities. Nestled in boxes between balled up pages of the Daily Star, I noticed how comfortable the pots looked, like unborn siblings in a cozy nest. I'm having an idea from the egg, I thought. Celebrities are the new politicians, the mother birds of buying expensive art. And I started thinking, I will show a video of celebrities that will stoke an irrefutable new craze for hand-glazed pots. There was a scowling man's head on the cover of this week's paper that gave me confidence my pots would be well understood and protected while in transit. I looked at the bottom corner of the image for his name. "Thank you, Bradley Cooper," I said to the man's crinkled frown. Thank you.
Hey, thank you. That was so fun. And definitely our first cooking demonstration during a reading. All right. Our third reader tonight is Noli Reed. Noli is the author of the novels Pretend We Are Lovely and In the Breeze of Passing Things, and the short story collection So There. Her stories and essays have appeared in The Southern Review, The Rumpus, Arts and Letters, Meridian, Pithead Chapel, Split Lip Magazine, The Lily, and Bustle. She holds an MFA from George Mason University. She taught creative writing for 18 years in colleges, universities, and community centers before giving up tenure to write full-time. She also serves as the booker for the Greatest Indoor Reading Series and lives in Southwest Indiana with her two best boys. Please welcome Noli.
Sad amateur move. Sorry about that, everyone. Okay, so again, this is my novel, Pretend We're Lovely. Thanks everyone for being here tonight. It's been wonderful hearing AJ and Red. That's my first ever cooking reading demonstration. That was insane. And it goes really well actually with what I'm about to read. But I need to give you some information about the book because what I'm going to read is chapter 24. So that's kind of late into it. So let's see. I need to tell you that my novel is told from alternating points of view. They're all in first person. And what I'll do is I'll tell you the name of the character before I switch points of view. I'm only going to read two different points of view tonight. The mother of this family and the father of this family, and they're estranged, but at the moment living in the same house. Okay, so it is the story of the Sobel family, and it's a story of forgiveness and family secrets and the losses we inherit. I usually start at the beginning in order to introduce an audience to each of the Sobel family members. But the pandemic has me feeling stir crazy, so I'm jumping ahead to a frenzied night late in the book. But first, information to contextualize this excerpt. It's the summer of 1982 in Blacksburg, Virginia, 7 years after the suspicious death of a son and sibling, and the Sobel family is hungry. Mother Francie fusses over the gram weight of her allotted iceberg lettuce. Her semi-estranged husband, Tate, privately indulges in ice cream and donuts. Their daughters, Enid, 10, and Vivi, almost 13, are subtler versions of their parents, measuring their summer vacation by meals had or meals skipped. But by summer's end, new and old secrets emerge, and Francie can no longer hang on to her austere diets and midnight jumping jacks, giving rise to the question, can she even hold on to her family? This is chapter 24 of Pretend We Are Lovely. Francie. It's 2 a.m, dark inside here, even darker outside. I go to the kitchen, turn on all the lights. We have pita bread. I split one, slide it into toast. We have Colby and Triscuits, preheat, foil a pan, single layer, give each a cracker a square slice, let corners overhang, some will melt, crispy, chewy, to peel from the foil, bake. We have peanut butter, perfect, no bowl to clean or hide or admit, just a spoon. Spoons are easy, spoons are nothing. Nails click the linoleum, the new dog comes in, ears up, tail wagging. You're hungry? Here. I give a spoon of peanut butter, but have to hold it until he finishes, which is long for being peanut butter, but fast for being a dog. He bats his lashes, blinking shut with each lick of the spoon. I stroke his broad forehead. Good dog, I tell him. Good dog. I re-scoop the spoon into the jar, try to show him, to pull the blob off the spoon with his lips, lick it, then suck on it to get it clean. Now you, I say. There are so many things to eat in this room, and we've only just begun. I look at him, say, what kind of family doesn't name its dog? He wags and jangles his blank tag, but runs off out of the kitchen with the spoon. I butter the pita. I butter an English muffin. I eat and lick and chew. Through the oven window, I watch cheese bubble over the edges of the Triscuits. There is a freezer pizza. I restart the oven, find the instructions and turn up the heat. I step out onto the porch, get the box of Walker's shortbread hidden in my bicycle basket. I go back in. The butter is now deep in my stomach, churning, aching. I mitigate and moderate. I eat cheesy Triscuit, shortbread, 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 until there are no more shortbread fingers. I appraise the packagings, all the world's empty cellophane, cardboard, and foil across my counters like the Sunoco's dumpster out on Price's Fork. I didn't want any of this in me, and I don't want Tate's fucking crisp and tasty pizza either. Where will I even tell him it's gone? I count by hundreds, 150s, 400s. I am an abacus of calorie calculations, sliding beads along the wires. I carry the 7, the 17, the 77,000. I fit the pot holder to my hand, take the sizzling pizza from the oven. Bare-fingered, I pinch the scalding cheese, suck it and the sauce from my skin. I suck and suck until I realize I am gnawing smooth the indentations of my own finger bone. The floor comes alive overhead. He begins to rouse, begins to move. The bed springs creak beneath him, a man as large as Tate. He's coming down the stairs now. I snatch the pan, rush through the porch with it, run barefooted through the screen door and out into the night. The screen taps in its frame. I can't think of everything at once. And now I fling the freezer pizza stuck to its pan out into the dark. I pass the carport trash can and I can't stop myself. Tate. My wife stands over the open garbage can in smeared and sweaty nightshirt. She looks up, then grabs something and shoves it into her mouth. Her lips are wet and smeared, peanut butter and whatever else. She is gulping, smacking like an animal. I can't take my eyes from her. All I can do is stand at the kitchen door's window on the sane side of the glass. She looks up and sees me. Francie. He is in the kitchen, The light through the porch door's 9 window panes glances off the rim of this can, its contents entirely unlit, yet the light moves, or something moves through it, passing back and forth, the darkness moving through him. But now the light dims. He stands at the door watching. I do not know what I taste. Little buttered potatoes, the dog's stew cans, sandwich crusts tinged with the blood of last night's pork chops. I do not stop. Each arm shovels as fast as I can swallow. Faster, faster, until all my mouth knows is smooth, slick, salty, crisp, putrid, wet. The light goes out. I replace the lid and go back inside, wipe each foot in the dog towel. I walk in through the darkened kitchen door. I wash my hands deep down in the sink where Tate has stacked all my plates and bowls. I let the water run hot, hotter. I heard a strange noise, I will tell him. Or I was cleaning out the fridge and pantry, I can say. I'm just not comfortable with all these foods you've brought in the house. Think of the girls for 1 second, would you? I couldn't sleep, I will say. I went for a walk. The wrappers, the boxes are gone and the oven is off, cooling. Its motor clicks and whirs. I could say, help me. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was great, Nolly. All right, as always, check the chat for links to everybody's work, where you can buy things, where you can read more and follow them on social media. We've got a couple minutes left. If anybody would like to ask some questions of our lovely readers, please unmute yourself and ask away. Don't be shy.
Red, how did you get the eggs into everything?
You know, I just, that was just some magicianship.
No doubt.
Yeah, it was a last minute addition.
Very cool. Anybody else? I have a question that I'm just always curious, since we started doing these virtual readings in pandemic times. How has the past year changed your writing habits, your reading habits, or the content of what you are writing or reading? Anybody noticed a change?
I think I've been writing more prose than poetry actually in the last year, and I have a novel that I've been submitting to agents, so that's new. As far as my reading habits, I've gotten back to reading more hard copy books than ebooks, so those are the biggest changes I've seen.
Not much change for me, other than I've got my husband and son at home, which makes things a little more intrusive to my workspace. But other than that, not a whole lot of change.
Yeah, for me, I noticed that I read more books that are recommended to me, because those are the books that come into my hands, and I'm not so good at buying things online. And recently I've been reading, this is my magician's assistant. Recently I've been reading this book that I wanted to recommend to everyone, called Inheritance by Taylor Johnson. And yeah, it's a book of poetry that is really interested in listening and in the sonic. So that's my like little plug for what's been kind of connecting with me recently.
Very cool. All right, well, thank you all for being here, readers and audience. We definitely appreciate your support. I'd like to remind you to please donate to our community partner, the Trans Empowerment Project. Their link is there in the chat. And I also want to invite you to an upcoming workshop, which is Writing the Body. This will be on Wednesday, April 14th, here on Zoom, of course. That'll be at 7 p.m. Eastern. That'll be led by Aria Samuelson. Our bodies are made of stories: heat, sensation, illness, spasms, tears. Even in numbness or disassociation, the body speaks. Writing the body is one of the most powerful ways to draw in a reader. As soon as someone names a sensation, an ear twitch, a quickened pulse, the ache of longing in a shoulder, we can practically feel it as our own. Together, we'll explore how to tap into the body's language and unearth its stories. We'll explore writing the body as a process on the page and as a way to put together a story. No matter your writing background, ambitions, or genre, this class will help you tap into your embodied wisdom and discover new stories waiting to be told. That sounds very cool. So please sign up for that. Plan to be there. Check out our Facebook page for more details. And then on April 28th, we'll be back here for the reading series again. That'll be, again, 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And our readers will be Anuja Gamir, Isaac Pickle, and S. Aaron Batiste. And again, you can learn more about that on our Facebook page. So we hope to see you back here. Thank you again, everybody. Great readings. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you next time.